What's up, party people? Back at you again. The mighty J.O.E. in the days of hip hop. Coming at you with another review. And this time, man, we're taking it back to the West Coast with none other than Eazy-E, the hip hop thugster. His debut album, Easy Does It, released November 22nd, 1988. Man, this album to me was an instant classic. You know, you had production by Dr. Dre, assisted by DJ Yella, and man, with the writing skills of Ice Cube, the D.O. to the C, and MC Ren, man, this was none but you know, gangster rap at its finest, man, with storytelling and funky grooves, man, dope samples, all put into one, man, to give us a great album, man. With the first song, like the first song on the album was Still Talking Shit. With Dre and Cube on there clowning, acting like they two old men. And the song is actually written by Ice Cube and the DOC. You know, man, the DOC was, man, he's like the sixth man. He should have the sixth man award. You know what I'm saying, in hip hop, because he was definitely like the unofficial sixth member of NWA, man. You know, he was his prints all, over their work, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, and he wrote that. I think he wrote maybe another song or two will go down the list. Then Nobody Move, where they run up in a bank, him and MC Ren, and the song is written by MC Ren. They got a sample of, I think, the television show or movie Get Smart. Then another song that was on the album, I think on the cassette it maybe wasn't, but I know on the album they added later the Ruthless Villain. Ren is rapping, Easy kind of like singing the hook, and that happened because when MC Ren originally wrote the song for Easy, but he for some reason he couldn't rap it. You know what I'm saying? I guess the pace of it or whatever. Maybe it was a little too fast. I forgot what they said, but he couldn't rap. So they liked the song, so Ren ended up rapping it, and he was supposedly talking about Easy, but I think that's how Ren became like the ruthless villain. You know what I'm saying? But the song was really talking about Easy. Then next song, Two Hard Mothers. Well, Ren and Easy's going back and forth. That was dope as shit. Just bragging about kicking ass, and like they usually do, and sleeping with food, girls and shit like that, man. It was one of those braggadocious type songs, or like on the street tip, you know what I'm saying? And then after that, you had the classic song that kind of kicked it off for him, Boys in the Hood, which was written by Ice Cube, like in 1986, I believe, but it was originally written for some guys out of on the East Coast that I guess Eazy was trying to work with, but they didn't get the song. They went from there talking about six foes and this and that, and they wasn't on that type of shit, but they from, I think, New York or somewhere like that, and they was like, we can't get down with that shit. So Dre convinced Eazy, he convinced Eazy to do the song, and they say it took him like 2 days, but you know, they got it done. I think Yellow was saying they had to kind of like say a line, stop it, say another line. That's how they and just joined it together. But eventually they got it. He got it, and it just took off from there, man. Just like that. And a star was born. You know what I'm saying? And it's really like if you go back, if you go back, that song remind you could tell they was heavily influenced by Ice-T, 6 in the Morning, and Schoolie D, PSK, I believe. You can kind of tell, man, if you listen to the cadence of those songs, they all similar, man. I'm telling you, they all similar subject. You could just tell, man. They was NWO was influenced by those records, no doubt, man. Especially Ice-T. To me, that's like Boys in the Hood is like damn near like 6 in the Morning Part 2 type shit. That's just me speaking. Then you have Eazy, the title track, Eazy Does It, which was written also by MC Ren. Another dope jam, man, no doubt. And then We Want Eazy, Boosie Collins, and sample, written by none other than the D.O. to the C. I think he said he actually wrote that song in maybe 15 minutes, something like that. I think that was the first song he did when he got in the studio with him. I think Dre already had the record and asked him could he do something with it. He was like, yeah. And that's what he came up with. And Yola was saying that he seemed to every time Doc wrote something for him, it just always seemed to work out best. He caught on like that, and for whatever reason, Doc was it. You know what I'm saying? Then easier said than done. Which, believe it or not, I think Eazy might have did a little right. Dre too, for the matter of fact. Dre could pick up a pen here and there, do a little something. And no doubt another. I think they had a video for it, if I'm right. They did. They had a video for that, and We Want Eazy. And then after that, one of his earlier singles, Radio, which was again written by MC Ren. And a little backdrop to that, when Ice Cube went off to school, I think I had said in the last one, but Ice Cube went off to school, man, Ren stepped in. He was signed as a solo artist. He stepped in and asked him to do some writing for Eazy. And he ended up, for this album here, Eazy debut album, he ended up writing the majority of the album, like 6 songs, because Ice Cube wasn't there at the time. He was off. So, like I said, that's how he ended up getting into the fold. And Radio, No More Question. That was never written by Ice Cube, where he's being Eazy's being interviewed by this young lady, and nobody different asking about what things mean, like 211s, 187, shit like that. And I'm gonna break it down. That one just, to me, like a hip hop song. He just flowing. I think it was no cursing on that song, written by MC Ren. Just bragging, just talking shit as usual. And the last one was Eazy, chapter 8, verse 10. Just one of those tracks, man. He just on there talking, just bullshitting, having fun, man. But this album, man, it kind of it led the way because I think a month afterward they released Straight Outta Compton, and that followed like a tour, man. Easy Does It tour, man. They headline, so but they also toured with like a lot of other people, Public Enemy, LL Cool J, man, you name it. You know what I'm saying? Too Short. They actually Too Short was on their tour. Too Short because at the time he had Life Too Short. That just dropped. So yeah, that was I heard that was a hell of a tour, man. Which I'm sure it was, because you had NWA, Eazy-E, Too Short, I think Public Enemy. Might be wrong. I think Mix-a-Lot did a few dates with him. So but at the time, man, West Coast they was just getting started at that time. 88 and 89. This album here ended up going double platinum. I think at the time, Straight Outta Compton, it sold more than that now, both, but that went double platinum. And Too Short, Life's Too Short also went double platinum. These records just, no radio, hardly no radio or video play, but it didn't need it, man, and it kind of changed the trajectory of hip hop music, man. In the direction, it was starting to go. It kind of took a whole different direction, man, with these albums. You know what I'm saying? But and definitely put Eazy on the map as a solo artist, and put Ruthless Records on the map too, man. Because by this time they had JJ Fad kicked it off, then with Easy Does the album, then Straight Outta Compton, man, it was a force to be reckoned with over there on the West Coast, and then the hip hop world in general. You know what I'm saying? So they kind of even if they're not the first, they set it off. I mean, Ice-T was kind of like the pioneer over there, but they kind of set things off. You know what I'm saying? They really kicked the dough in. You know what I'm talking about with this album and Straight Outta Compton, man, and they just took off from there. And we all know the rest of the story. But yeah, it kind of made him a bona fide star, and people started looking at the West Coast a lot different once they came on the scene. Because it was before then, it was basically all about the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? So it changed. They changed the game a lot with this one. But man, like I said, I enjoy coming with you with another review, man. Please check it out. Please subscribe and please like. And definitely be back again tomorrow with a few more and maybe some more news of what's going on in the world of entertainment. Until then, peace.